hang on.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. Sorry.
Hey,
the
Peter.
reason I've got two machines up is that
That's a problem.
so I've got to use the laptop to record the meeting. I haven't got any choice with that, so I'm kind of on two machines. Hopefully that's okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I was on a call last night with some friends socially, and two people were on two different devices because one the video was working and one the audio was working, and I was like, oh, this is a bit mad.
Yeah, we cobble things together sometimes, don't we?
Yeah, well, it works just somehow.
Yeah, as long as it works. Okay, so just to kind of because we're a bit short of time. I know we've only got 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't have a meeting after this one. I've literally just finished the previous meeting and come straight onto this one.
Well,
so I'm going.
Your calendar looked pretty back to back.
That's right. Yeah. Pressure of like change this one, change that one.
Sure.
So no, we haven't got anything after this. If we need to go on a bit.
Okay.
So I'm just interested. A bit of background, which I hope I gave you before, but anyway. So I'm a trustee. With a carers organisation. Basically, what we do is we care for carers. So these are people who are looking after somebody at home for whatever reason, could be physical, can be mental, and we provide a support structure for them locally in northwest London. We're in Harrow, and as a trustee, we've just had a change of CEO. The old CEO was quite hands-on. I mean, literally hands-on. I mean, a really, really nice guy, but he would even do things like DIY.
Right. Okay. Really.
He also did DIY technology, so he's quite handy with various bits of Microsoft that I wasn't aware of previously.
Yeah.
So nice guy, but we've got a new CEO, and she's saying, don't we need to be a bit more integrated, strategic with all of this?
Okay.
So that's kind of where we are. Very quick background. So we've got four kind of main applications. We've got carer time recording. So that's where carers are visiting. Care support workers are visiting carers. That's one. We've got an HR system internally for staff.
Yeah.
We've got obviously the account system, which is QuickBooks, and then we've got general admin.
General admin, just other things.
So yeah, general admin can be all sorts of things, marketing, you name it.
Well, the carer time recording is that one system or is that multiple systems?
It's a defined system. It's an outsourced system, so it's not our system. At all, and that's a system that we use that goes outside. But obviously, we're keeping some data ourselves in respect of carers and what have you. Some of that is sensitive data, and therefore we need to make sure that we are properly provisioned from a general data protection perspective, GDPR.
Yeah. So are you storing that locally? We can go into this in more detail in a bit, but
I think some of it, yes. I can't. Some of it, if it's in the carer support system, that may not be stored locally. So it may be a hybrid situation.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that gives me a good overview. Okay. Well, I guess to go into background of my background and
Thank you.
Background. Yeah. I'm conscious of time, and I think like the goal of this meeting is to determine if we would be the right partner for what you're trying to do, right? So I'll give you an overview of what we do and my background. So I went to university 2 years ago now, studied computers for 4 years, and then coming out of university, had done a lot of work in software, a lot of work in data science, but really was passionate about creating products, digital products, and so founded a digital agency. And we've been working for a number of startups and SMEs to build digital products to try and compete with larger corporate enterprises. So a lot of what we do is solving hard technical problems. So for example, a lot of the products we work on contain like complex computer science elements, video streaming, audio streaming, real-time video streaming. But what we offer in addition to our like core software development side is more of a digital strategy element, where we found that having that technical toolkit is really valuable to solve hard problems, but more often than not, you need to know when the right time is to apply that knowledge. And so we've come in at the early stages of a lot of companies and been more of an advisory role to begin with, and then worked into the implementation side. So we tend to offer two services, which is one is the strategy side, the other is the implementation side. So we've got 4 people in our company, all of us strong technical background, with 2 of us who focus on the strategy side for about 25% of our time, and then the rest of our time is focused on more like technical implementation.
Okay. And once you've delivered, is it the case that typically you walk away, and in which case, what's your focus on UX?
So in terms of when we've delivered, we've operated on 2 different models. One model is that we spec out projects from the start, give a fixed cost, and then deliver the project with the condition that if additional work is needed, here is how much time we can commit going forward for the next 2 years. It will cost at this rate. The other model is that we work on a set amount of time every month for our clients. So our clients effectively we allot a week of time for 2 of us to work every single month, and it's a rolling basis. Those are the 2 models we work on. And in terms of how that influences user experience, well, it really depends on the project, right? Because if it's a product that needs continuous development, then the user experience is going to be driven best if it's on a continuous basis. Whereas if it's something that doesn't need to evolve, if it's something that's like a static product that just needs to deliver like a very kind of defined business output, then doing it in a set amount of time and having that having the ability to get us on a daily basis afterwards if issues arise is probably a better fit in that case.
Okay. All right. Interesting. I'm going to sort of I'm going to diverge slightly here, just out of interest, although it needs to be brief from my side. Does that mean that you do things like products that go onto either Android or Apple stores?
Sure. So we do in the technical delivery. There are 2 main areas of focus. We do we have distributed systems that sit on either Amazon, AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud Platform. So those are going to be server infrastructure that responds to client devices, and those client devices would either be mobile applications. We have a number of those in production used by hundreds of thousands of users, as well as websites. So those are the 3 areas: websites, mobile apps, and cloud infrastructure.
Okay. Oh, thank you. All right. Yeah. Okay. I won't diversify too much. Given what I've said and what you've said, where do you see your company providing services?
Sure. So my goal of this conversation was to understand what the problem, why you wanted to move from your on-premises server setup to your cloud setup, right? And it may be that delivery requires kind of a very well-trodden path that is done over and over again, and we are not the best fit for you. But it may be that there is given the problem set, there could be some interesting ways in which we could provide solutions, not necessarily custom, just the fact that we have a very good grounding on what products are out there at the moment. We could provide insights into how you could solve the same problem without kind of doing the same well-trodden path. That's the idea. But I need to understand the problem set in order to understand if we're the right solution for you.
Okay. How do we go about helping you do that?
Sure. Well, I guess answering the first question of what are the exact on-premise pieces of technology that you use that you envision you want to take to the cloud?
It's not a kind of set vision. I think it's more a, what is available currently, given what we have currently, and making a comparison between those two to look at what are the advantages in moving compared with the advantages in staying put.
Okay, because it sounds like from the brief overview you gave at the start that most of your systems are third party, and so I assume that a lot of those systems, I know QuickBooks, probably all the marketing tools are, not sure exactly what the HR system is, but I assume that's all sitting on the cloud anyway.
As far as marketing tools is concerned, that's something that we are not particularly good at, and that's a fairly common feature with charities. Is marketing isn't considered a core skill when actually it probably should be. In terms of those types of technologies, it's probably there's probably some things on the cloud that we would use again, but I mean, again, it'll be ad hoc. It's not used in a particularly integrated fashion.
So there you're referring to the tool sets, the marketing tools, the other administration tools. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, we would have a sort of set of documents that we hold on a server. It's a typical Windows network.
So you have why do you have a Windows network?
Pardon?
You have a Windows network.
Yeah, we've got a Windows network. And we've got a VPN that's been set up and stuff for people to be able to work from home. So in that sense, Microsoft is doing enough of a job. It's just that I think we feel that we need to have a look at the cloud and see what's out there, because Microsoft is it's a bit old-fashioned. It's a bit like the old Model T Ford, in that there's a lot of time wasted while you're kind of updating computers, and you get the blue screen scenario, and it's more hard work than it possibly needs to be, and therefore that's one of the reasons we are asking the question.
Okay. And when you say,
is there something better? Sorry.
When you say like Microsoft is hard work, are you talking about the operating system or the services that you're using on top of that? Because I think the operating system will be a given. You can take your operating system into the cloud, but that's only for specific use cases. The other services outside of the operating system can be taken to the cloud. For example, if you take your operating system to the cloud, what that enables you to do is log on from several dumb clients, right?
Yeah.
So that's the common use case, is if you want to have a user who has personal files and has a desktop setup, but access that setup from anywhere, from any computer in the world. Now, I don't know if that's a use case that this charity feels that they need, because it would be quite a relatively expensive thing to do if most of your information is stored on other cloud services that are simply accessed through the web browser. If that makes sense.
No, I think you've just breached my knowledge levels.
Sure. Well, so maybe I'll just
I mean, do I need to hear some more detail? I don't know.
Sure. Well, so my the use cases in which companies take their desktop infrastructure, so their operating system, to the cloud.
Yeah.
In cases like schools, universities, where they have lots of users who want to access their file systems, their desktop applications
Yeah.
from a number of different physical locations.
Okay. And if we've got a VPN set up that allows us to do that, how does that play? I mean, I may be asking the wrong question.
Sure. Well, the VPN will allow you to file share, to my
Yeah.
understanding, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of sharing desktop applications, I don't think the Microsoft VPN doesn't allow you to do that.
Certainly not desktop applications. No, I mean they have to be installed on each desktop, desktop by desktop, and that's part of the the kind of pain component in that each laptop needs to be maintained on that basis.
So I would, my high level advice would be to move every single tool set to a web-based tool set, whereby you can access every service that you're using through the web browser, which removes the need for maintaining operating systems and logins. Not completely, but it removes the need to maintain consistency across each device, because a user can use their personal web browser and log in using their corporate details to this website and this service. That tends to be the way a lot of startups and even large corporations these days tend to be moving everything to the browser, because you can access it from anywhere.
Yeah, I think my wife's got one of those, so I think I understand that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally haven't, because I've worked from home for many years now, so everything comes off my laptop or whatever, so mobile phone. So okay. So and the reasons for doing that? Why would you suggest that?
Because you don't have to maintain versions. There's a lot of maintenance that you don't need to do, and you also don't need to worry about the security side of things. So if you have data being held resident on physical machines, then you are personally responsible for the security and the infrastructure around that, which is something you don't need to worry about these days.
Yeah, sure. No, I get that. Yeah, it's a nice point.
Diagnosing those specific applications, I would look at who in the charity are using either accessing applications or accessing files that are resident on either the virtual private network or on the physical machines, and think, okay, well, what are the equivalent parts that exist through a software as a service solution, which I guarantee they will exist. And because that will be much easier to manage. Now, I guess you don't want to introduce too much change, because there's training costs and all those other things, but it's something that I strongly think about. It's like going through each application and understanding how you can use the software as a service equivalent, because there probably will exist that.
That's a good idea, I think, and it's something that we probably should consider. I mean, in your terms, if you were providing a migration to that type of situation, and that could be something that we want to look at. But I mean, obviously, we do have to consider cost. So it would be. I could see that it's an easier maintenance scenario for afterwards, and that is something that we would need to take into consideration. But obviously, there's an upfront cost. So how do you go about doing that type of situation?
Sure. Well, to be quite honest, to give you a idea of cost, and even if it's worth doing based off this conversation, I couldn't give you that. To be honest, I would feel like I don't have enough information right now to give you that advice. But if we were to go forward and for me to obtain that information, we have with previous clients operated on like a 3-day strategy sprint, which we talk to people in the organization, and then spend a day talking to people in the organization, spend 2 days writing up a report of basically what you need to do and how much it's going to cost, and then that time is then billed.
Okay, but I'm guessing the 5 days is chargeable.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So we need to know what the 5 days costs. I understand that at the end of the 5 days, we're then looking at a cost that we probably can't predict now.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, if you could let us know, what the 5 days, what we would charge for the 5 days, then that would help.
Yeah, well, I can tell you now. Our day rate is 675, excluding that, for the
Okay.
strategy.
And how many people?
You don't. How big is the organisation? I should have
Oh, I
asked that.
see. Okay. We are. Well, the core is quite small, and there are a number of staff that are kind of, as I say, relatively fluid. So I would say that the core plus, which is not quite sure, I need a different word, but because we've got about 50 in total, but quite a lot, about 30 of those are temporary. So they come and they go, and then all always there. So I would say the core is about 20, perhaps, of typical staff.
The core is 20. Okay. 20 people is not one thing. You only need one of us.
Okay.
One
So
person.
as you say, that's 675 a day, one person, 5 days.
Yeah, and so it'd be 1-2 days interviewing staff, understanding your current system, and then the following 3-4 days will be creating a report with outcomes, tangible outcomes that can be taken from that.
Okay. Where are we? See if there's anything else sensible I can ask, or any good questions.
It's so to me, this sounds like it's not necessarily as simple as taking something that is, or it's not. The original post was kind of quite a blanket statement, but it was saying, can we move something from on-premises to the cloud? But it sounds this is much more of a holistic, what are we doing that is inefficient, and can we be leveraging more of the digital SaaS tools that we're not right now in order to...
That would be, yeah, absolutely, that would be good.
In order to either decrease costs or increase productivity or increase income from donation. Right, those are the 3 pillars.
Yeah, I'm not sure about income. That's a different matter.
Okay, so the marketing thing is that's another problem.
Marketing. I think there's a mindset question.
We're not marketing specialists, so I'm not going to try and sell you on marketing.
Well, but I think charities need to grapple better with the marketing question. Like I say, though, we do have a new CEO, so it could be that this is a good opportunity in some ways to try to do that. So in terms of go on, sorry.
I'm not overly familiar with the economics of marketing within the space of charities, right? Because it's often, if you take a simple marketing campaign, it'll be, okay, well, for the given input, what am I getting as output? And I don't know what the economics are there.
No, I mean, it's not done enough, I would say, to be able to offer metrics, particularly. It's kind of, it's a bit more hit and miss.
I don't know what your donation demographic is, but I imagine that, I know that in general, younger people don't give to charity as much as the older generation do. And so I imagine there has been less incentive to focus on the digital advertising space because of the demographic distribution.
Yeah. Well, we seem to do all right on the big TV events, though, don't we?
Well, the TV events, yes. The demographic on the TV is very, actually, I guess it's more skewed to a older demographic, right? These days, anyway.
Probably, yes.
I reckon.
Still. So your comment still applies, yes.
Sure. Anyway,
that's right.
No straying, but interesting.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure I can think of any other questions. It might be the time of day.
Okay. Do you have any idea of? Do you have any timelines on this in terms of, you said the CEO's just come in? Is there, how quickly do you want to get this underway if you do move forward with something from tomorrow?
I think it's something that we don't have to move on immediately. I mean, it's not a pressing need, so there's no urgency associated with it. But what we do want to do is to look at it, from a strategic perspective, and say, at some point it's going to be important that we are effectively geared up from the IT perspective. So So I think that it's more, it's not so much urgent, but it could be important. And I think the fact that we've got a new CEO coming in is probably one of the reasons we're taking that new look, because it's an opportunity to say, what are we doing now? Is that how we want to do things?
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Hmm.
To give you I guess my general things to be wary of when you move to cloud, but the same thing applies to on-premises, is make sure you understand software licenses, the contract lengths, how you can, what maintenance that needs to be provided. And specifically, if you're going to be storing personal data away from one of these already used SaaS solutions like QuickBooks, etc., and handle all that for you. If you're doing something locally or yourself, you need to be wary of where that data is stored. So we've had this issue come up quite a few times where you need to be able to prove exactly where that data is, and it's a pretty common thing that comes up, but it's definitely something to keep in mind.
I understand. Thank you. You actually, thank you as well. You've prompted me to ask one of the other questions. From a hacking perspective, what difference would you say there is between a sort of location-based system and a cloud-based system?
Yeah, good question. So, of course, it depends on how those systems have been set up. However, if you set up a very basic on-premises solution and you set up a very basic cloud solution, they are going to be equivalently secure or insecure.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it directly makes a difference, other than there will be a few additional security aspects that a company like AWS or Microsoft or whoever you use will add on, such as blocking certain clients or IP addresses that they have seen in the past to be suspicious. So you'll get a bit of that for free. But in terms of most hackers these days will be able to get around those very primitive security mechanisms. So then it comes down to how much is the person who's setting the system up, either on premises or in the cloud, how switched on are they in terms of knowing the vulnerabilities and threats that could come in. Now, on that note, there's much greater tooling available when you implement a solution in the cloud to protect yourself against vulnerable attacks. There's a huge array of tooling that does a fantastic job of protecting you. On premises, there are tools available. They are becoming much more corporate and very expensive, as you see far less SMEs using on-premises solutions, and therefore only massive corporations will tend to use on-premise solutions because they want certain data privacy and provability. So those solutions are becoming less easy to implement for a small on-premise solution. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting as well. Thank you. That's a very interesting perspective. So just coming back to the cloud solutions, is that something where somebody like yourself, who's got a big footprint, in that area, is that somewhere where you would be able to provide advice about, these are the right types of tools to be using? I mean, I was very lucky. I had a PC support guy who was very helpful, and he said, I'm not looking to make a lot of money. He said, what I will do is I will empower you by telling you that these solutions are the types of ones that you need to keep your home computer secure, which has been a godsend actually over the years. I'm very grateful to him. And it's that type of thing that can be really, really helpful. So I'm just wondering, in this situation, is that something that you are able to advise on?
What I would say is it's really not often with a simple setup, it doesn't cost substantially at all more to implement it securely. It's just that you know what security parameters you need to turn on, how you need to be accessing data, and there are lots of nuances around that. So it doesn't necessarily make it more expensive. It's just you need to make sure that whoever you choose to do the job is aware of these threats, right? So it's not that it's going to incur more cost. It's that you just need to make sure that whoever's advising you is aware of what threats could be out there and who could potentially be wanting
Yeah.
to access that data.
And that's actually another good point, is that would you suggest that, let's say a small company like ourselves would almost need to have a security consultant? Apparently the meeting will run out this time. Sometimes they don't, but this one will. So are you suggesting that for a company like ourselves, or sorry, organisation like ourselves, who is storing potentially sensitive data, do we need access to a security consultant who can advise us periodically? These are some current day issues and risks,
Sure.
and this is the sort of kind of direction that you need to be going into to be able to manage them. What's your feeling about that?
So instinctively, my answer is not necessary, but you'd have to sit down and think about the business risk and the chance of something going wrong. So you would sit down, whatever system you implement, you have to say, okay, well, what is the likelihood that something's going to go wrong here? And then if it does, what's the business impact? What's the negative business impact on that? How much does the security consultant cost? But I don't deem that a security consultant is necessary for the technical parts of this project. Now, often the technical implementation and the security around that implementation isn't your most vulnerable part. Now, this is where a security consultant might be useful in that.
People.
Yes. So I'm not going to comment on that side, but the technical side, I don't believe is necessary for, given the size of corporation and the amount of risk associated given the volume of money.
Yeah, I've had quite a few conversations because I network. I do business network. Sorry, I did business networking recently. I've heard a lot of stories like that from small lawyers, small accountants, and so forth, where they're employing temporary staff, and there you've got that significant risk factor about people who don't know systems well enough.
Sure.
So I get the point that you're making there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Additionally, a lot of if you're using the big, like well-used SaaS tools, website tools, a lot of them do have already implemented into them the ability to look at where the accessing IP address. So if somebody's trying to access somebody's account from India, they will be blocking that automatically.
Right.
So there are a bunch of security mechanisms built into a lot of these solutions already.
I've always thought that's one of the advantages of third-party provision, is that the end user doesn't have to take on the onus of and the responsibility of doing that, because you've got a third-party provider, and that is something that you would expect. I know you can't assume, but you would hope that the third-party provider would be taking that on.
Yeah, and as long as you're choosing one that is reasonably well established or has been around for a few years, they would have got round to implementing that security side of things. It's basically how it's in that company.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know how much time there is left. Are there any other questions you want to ask? Because I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No, this is fine. I'll follow up with an email, and I'm like, you've got a busy day. I'm sure you're seeing lots of people. It sounds like it could be an interesting fit. Obviously, we're much more on the bespoke software development, but as I said, we do offer, like, we have produced quite a few strategy reports. So it sounds like there could be alignment here. So let me know once you've kind of gone through all of these meetings, what you think. Yeah,
sure. I've got a few more to go still. Yes.
Sure.
So I just want to say I like the sound of what you're doing. It may not be on this occasion, but on another occasion, I shall certainly be thinking of you and saying, okay, if I get something of that sort that I can see a need, then I will certainly be in touch. But I will. I'll happily send you the video. I've actually got a backlog of them to get up into the cloud, so that's a small learning curve I've got to go through, because I've typically tried to avoid video up until now, but I think I've got to a point where I've said I really can't avoid doing this now. I think I have to. So here we go.
Well, yeah. I mean, even my grandparents have started using video, so that was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
shock in my
No,
life.
my children use videos without even thinking twice about it. It's just that I'm of the generation. We sort of started using email, so I mean I've actually moved off email particularly, but I use chat far more now. But I think I've got to move again and get onto video more. So here we are.
Things change, right?
Things
Why do they do
change. Yeah. Sometimes you're forced into change, and then afterwards you go, "Do you know I should have done this before?"
that? Yeah, absolutely.
There we go. Okay. Look, I mean, thank you very much, Mike. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, and you like the sound of what you're doing, and all the best of luck with that. But
Yes.
I will come back to you and let you know.
Okay. Yes. Well, otherwise, good luck with work. Do you work directly with the charity? Sorry, you said at the beginning.
I'm a trustee, so
Okay.
we're effectively volunteers, but we carry a little extra responsibility.
Yes. Well, good luck with the migration if we don't work together, and I hope all the best moving forward.
I mean, I might go to the CEO, and she might go, "Yeah, we're going to do that." So,
Maybe.
what do I know?
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Right.
the other trustees may disagree with me violently. Who knows?
Well, we'll see.
Anyway, I just want to say thank you very much indeed.
No, no problem. Cheers.
Okay, and enjoy your day, and good luck with all your own ventures.
Thank you. And you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye.